very warm welcome to Daily Dispatch, a show that gives you all the latest news and updates from the digital ecosystem. I'm Priya Sheth. Thank you very much for logging in. Time now to get you all the top news stories that we've been tracking for you this evening. Well, first up, Indian ride-hailing company Ola has launched a new electric vehicle category on its platform, which will allow riders in London to specifically book rides in a fully electric vehicle. The new category, called Ola EV, has been described as a global first for Ola and will be available across the UK capital from this week, and over time will be rolled out to other cities around the world where Ola is operational. Well, moving on to the second headline of the day, Facebook will roll out a new campaign in India in the coming weeks to educate and inform people about how to detect misinformation related to COVID-19. It will also encourage users to check the information they received against an authentic source. The social networking giant has removed over 12 million pieces of harmful misinformation on COVID-19 globally from Instagram and its own platform during the pandemic. Well, Airtel Payments Bank has launched DigiGold, a digital platform for its customers to make investments in gold. DigiGold, which allows customers to start with an investment of as low as ₹1, has been launched in partnership with SafeGold, which is a provider of digital gold. Well, moving on to the final headline of the day, the IIT Alumni Council founded Mega Lab has secured a 300 crore rupee seed funding and is developing a 2-dose Ayurveda-based coronavirus vaccine that can stop the spread of the virus and prevent infection within a few days of the first dose. Well, moving on to our second segment, I have with me someone who has been in the e-recharges space. I have with me Siddharth Mehta from FreeCharge. Thank you very much for joining us today. I want to begin by asking you, over the last couple of months, the e-wallet space, specifically mobile wallets, have been doing exponentially well, and we've been seeing that across the several wallets that are there in the ecosystem. How has been your experience at FreeCharge? Much more growth than anticipated?
First of all, thanks Priya for having me here, and wish all of you sort of a healthy day and good health. So when I look at the last 1 year's, or let me say 1 year's experience, because not few months, COVID has been there with us for a year. It's a mixed bag. So while I'll come to the wallet space later, but while I see that, it has given a great flip to the digital ecosystem, if you look at across the board. So from bill payments to online ordering to that extent, but it has also impacted a lot of businesses and customers and people to that extent. The other thing that COVID has done for all of us is that it's pushed a lot of us to relook at our business plans, relook at how our personal financial plans also, and remodel them, considering things like emergency fund was not a critical part of our day-to-day requirement, but now with COVID, we've sort of realized that that's very important to be. So financial planning has become important to that extent. Now, when I look at the payment space, and obviously wallet is a subset of the large payment space, if you look at it, the payment space is actually growing exponentially, one largely driven by UPI. You've seen a lot of growth in the UPI ecosystem that's happened. What we've seen in FreeCharge is that while transactions on recharges, bill payments have grown, but transaction per user is growing. So which means a user who was earlier typically doing only one transaction or one category of payment earlier has now started doing multiple category payments. So there has been a horizontal movement in addition to the vertical movement to that extent. Secondly, what we've also seen on the merchant side, so there is the consumer, we run two businesses, there's a consumer business and the merchant business. On the SMB side, we launched some remote payment solutions last year during COVID, and we are almost seeing a 20% month-on-month growth in the processed volume through those solutions. The third thing that we are seeing at FreeCharge, and that's part of our strategy, is that we have been working on this financial services capability that we're rolling out products around it to that extent. We've seen a quarter-on-quarter growth in people coming and showing interest in the various financial services products that we've launched till date. For example, FDs, mutual funds, cards, loans to that extent. So we're seeing a transition to the digital ecosystem on payments and financial services now.
Like, within categories, because I do understand while you are talking about products like mutual funds, etc., which are available on your platform where you are seeing a good traction. When it comes to specific categories like bill payments, recharges, etc., how is that part of your business doing at this point in time?
So we are seeing growth in recharges. So last year, if you look at it in the first wave, we saw a lot of growth in data pack upgrades that people were doing. After a few months, obviously that stabilized because of the way the ecosystem or people evolved and got used to COVID. This year, we are seeing a growth in bill payments, DTH recharges. Some of the DTH recharges is also to do with the IPL that was there, and people started suddenly doing it. But we're still seeing a growth in electricity bill, DTH recharges. FASTag was one category we saw growth. I think some of it was to the fact that in the Q3 and Q4, a lot of people started moving out to that extent. But bill payments, which is gas bookings, gas, pipeline bill payments and all, is where we are seeing the growth.
Right. When you talk about the whole ecosystem, the payments ecosystem, you have so many players. You have the bigger players as well, like a Paytm and a MobiKwik, who are doing a lot in this space. How do you pitch yourself against competition? And in terms of Freecharge, why should people use Freecharge as a wallet when there are so many other options available in the market?
So the way I look at it, Priya, first of all, typically wallet is just a payment instrument. So today, most of us support multiple payment instruments, UPI, cards, net banking, wallet. So wallet, we are largely payment processing. We are platforms where people can come and make payments seamlessly. When I look at Freecharge, obviously we have a following of people who come to us for bill payments, and the typical ecosystem, the way it involves is that once you get comfortable with the platform and the experience on the platform, you continue to sort of using the platform. So we focused on consumer experience to that extent. But what we are also doing, Priya, in this space, and over the last 2 years, what we've done, because when UPI came into being in 2017, and as we saw the space evolving, what we realized is that while payments is a great way of attracting customers, but if you need to really generate value in the future, you will need to cross-sell financial services. So we have, over the last 2 years, have been focusing on optimizing our payments business while also investing in building our financial services capabilities to that extent. And we've done that, and this year you will see a slew of products coming out of our stable. Just in April 21, we launched a buy now pay later product, which is again a payment solution for customers from a checkout perspective, but it's backed by a credit limit. So we give credit limits up to 5,000. People can pay back after 30 days and use it within the network ecosystem that we've built from the payments perspective. So that's what we've been focusing on, is the transition of converting people from payments to financial services, and we think that will help us sort of stand out in this space where the customer will be able to, on Freecharge, not only make his bill payments, but also take a loan, invest, possibly open a bank account to that extent.
Yeah, I'm going to come to all the future products that you've planned and the plans for 2021 going forward. But before that, I want to know, in terms of the absolute growth, what is the kind of growth that you've seen in terms of customers, in terms of payments over the last year? If you could give us some quantifiable details.
So, currently, Priya, it's difficult for us to share the details because that's not public information available. But as I said, on the merchant side, we've seen a 20% month-on-month growth, and that is still some information that is available in public. On the consumer side, as we said, we are optimizing. Our focus is to get customers to do more transactions instead of getting more customers on the platform, because our belief is that if we have engagement with the customers, we will be able to cross-sell our financial services products to them.
Right. In FY22, I know there are a lot of things that you've planned. So give us some glimpse into the kind of products and features that you expect to add onto the platform going forward.
Okay, great, Priya, thanks. So as I just said, that we just launched the buy now pay later in April. Currently, it's to a select set of users. Slowly, we will be opening it up for a larger space. We will be also launching a neo-banking platform where consumers can come, open a bank account, manage their financials, invest, do their goal management, track their spends, everything. This on the consumer side, these are two big ones, and there will be multiple others. So there will be a sort of a no-cost EMI product also going to come in from a customer perspective. On the merchant side, you will find us launching a lending product, small ticket lending product for the SME space, You will also find us launching a current account product for the SME space and a bank in a box, which will be like a neo banking for the merchants.
Right, that's an interesting mix of things. Do you think you're required to raise some funds for this kind of expansion that you're looking at in terms of products?
I don't see a need currently for us for raising funds. And secondly, we are a 100% subsidiary of Axis Bank. So for us, the challenge on the fund side is not that big to that extent. We have support of the bank in sort of growing our financial services business over the next few years.
Right. Going forward, I want to know what kind of targets have you set for yourself in terms of overall growth, and where do you see Freecharge maybe say 2 to 3 years down the line?
So our focus, Priya, as I said earlier, is going to be largely around growing our financial services business over the next 3 years. While we will use payments as an engagement layer to get customers onto the platform, but our focus will be to convert them into financial services. Over the next 3 years, the way we look at Freecharge is that we will become a pure financial services platform where payments will be a layer below the financial services. And just to give you an example, for example, our focus will be to get more customers on Buy Now Pay Later and give them the ability to make their bill payments on Freecharge using the Buy Now Pay Later product. That's just an example. Or, for example, open your bank account and do link an auto debit, and we will auto pay your bill payments. So while we will continue to focus payments, but they will become a layer within our financial services business. In next 3 years, we see ourselves to be a financial services player, a digital financial services player. Let me correct myself. In this space.
Any collaborations that you're working with in order to grow this pie? And also I wanted to ask you in terms of regulations from the government standpoint, is there more clarity that the space needs in terms of overall regulations?
Okay, on the first question, Priya, see, we are a subsidiary of the bank. So, our biggest advantage is that we are a subsidiary of Axis Bank, the third largest private sector bank, a very trusted bank to that extent. So our ability to roll out products and co-create products is far higher as we believe in the market. And we are very confident because of that. We have been working with Axis Bank over the last 2 years to actually create products and platforms targeted to this segment. Buy Now Pay Later is the first one, and the other products that I spoke about was all part of that partnership. Again, the reason we are confident is the Axis Bank has knowledge, learning, and the trust. If I couple it with the product capabilities of Freecharge, I think we can create a space for ourselves in the market. On the government regulation side, I think the regulations are evolving as the space evolves. The digital space is evolving rapidly now, and the regulations are also evolving. And while there will be a lot of new regulations or new leeways that will come into this space, but we'll have to wait and see how things evolve over a space of time. Example, in the payment space, if you've seen the PAPG guidelines have come in now. Now the payment gateways and payment aggregators will get into the regulatory space, and they will get far more ability to do stuff, because once you get into the regulatory space, you can sort of scale up also faster. We have seen the working group on digital lending that RBI has created, and that will also come out with some, guidelines on how you can do digital lending. Again, the advantage why we don't see a worry around that, because we are partnering with Axis Bank, so we don't see that as a worry for us, considering the capability of the bank, and it's a bank finally, and one of the largest banks. Our learnings come from the bank, so we are sure that it will not impact us. And the last one is the sort of the 5th May, governor's note that came in, which spoke about KYC optimization or simplification of KYC. So I think if we are looking at the regulations supporting the digital businesses, but they will evolve slowly as businesses evolve.
All right, Mr. Mehta, we wish you all the very best with Freecharge and your plans forward, and we will continue to track the progress of Freecharge. We'll see over the next couple of months and years. Thank you so much for being a part of the Daily Dispatch.
Thank you, Priya. Thank you for your time.
Well, time now to wrap up this edition of the Daily Dispatch. I'll see you on Monday at 5 p.m. Goodbye and have a lovely and safe weekend.